Test. Test, test. Test, test, test. So many technical issues today. Stand by. So my DA computer crashed right as the stream went live, so I'm just refreshing that. My stream computer's up, but you obviously can't see anything if I switch over to the scene. So just gonna leave it like this for a moment. All right, I think I got it. Yay! Oh my god. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. Had a little bit of a technical kerfuffle right before the stream, like right as the stream went live, my computer crashed. So had to wait for that to reboot, and I just kept the stream live. Again, my apologies. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. And I'm hoping you can hear me all right. I'm not 100% certain if that's coming through. Thank you, Atlam. Thank you. So, as I was saying a minute ago, my DA computer just crashed. So I had to figure that out on a whim. Not any way associated with our lead developer whim. Just, you know, separate whim. Anyway, it was quite frustrating to say the least, but I think I sorted it. So we all good now. Sorry about that. How's everyone doing today? For those just tuning in, if this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Mac. I'm the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Hey, Valor, how you doing? Good to hear it. Good to hear it. Welcome, welcome. So Dungeon Alchemist is a map-making utility that's available on Steam. Allows you to build maps for your tabletop games, primarily in a fantasy setting, such as like D&D or Pathfinder. That being said, there's people in our community who make maps for like modern settings, Fallout, space, etc., because our tool is very versatile, both in the scope of assets and the options available through the Steam Workshop. So the Steam Workshop has a repository of nearly 5,000 assets shared by our community, and many of them are futuristic, modern, you know, cultural, etc. Allows you a lot more diversity in your builds. Tried a wizard tower build you did the other day, and I love doing things this. Were you able to figure it out? Hope you had some luck with it. So when the stream last wrapped up, Basically, this stream takes place every Monday. We do a stream that's called Mapmaker Monday. Pretty much every Monday, I host a live map making build where you can watch and follow along and learn tips and tricks, but also make suggestions towards the build and, give feedback and also just get live support. Consider these streams AMA, so if you have any questions, I will stop and try to address them and make sure you get them answered. Otherwise, what I'm focusing on is building a massive ancient cemetery. The map is quite broad. We only just started the build last week, and we have an entry point right here that is kind of a covered entry with some hedges and a little pond here, some trees. So that's kind of our starting point. We're going to have this large road, which I feel will be the main kind of artery of traffic through the cemetery, and then it'll have like paths that branch off, small roads, footpaths, etc. There'll be parts of the cemetery that feel very ancient, old, and overgrown, kind of like abandoned because no one really visits them anymore because the people who died there died long ago and may have been forgotten. Alternatively, there'll be areas that feel more new and fresh and more vibrant as we come along. There will be, graves, there will be mausoleums, and I plan to do just an assortment of all sorts of stuff to make it feel like kind of aged over time, like different cultures and periods of time have influenced how the graves and like areas may look. I want some areas raised and some areas lower, so it'll be kind of terraced, if you will. But there's going to be a lot of work put into this, so it will be, several streams where focus on building this. So if you want to learn how to build an epic, massive cemetery, definitely feel free to tune in on Mondays over the next few weeks. Thank you, TikTok, for all the likes. I just got to say I'm very appreciative of them. I'm just seeing likes coming in like crazy. We already have over 250 likes. Thank you so much for that. It means the world to me because TikTok's very algorithm-based. The more likes we get, typically will alert our followers to the fact that we're live and other people who may be interested to it. So thank you very much. I'm sorry, Emil, what do you mean by that? I'm a little confused. So this tower here, I'm trying to figure out where to put it. I was thinking of putting an offset chamber over here on this side. That would be just more of an expansion of the chapel. I might even do the same thing over here to have another one, but this one could be like a baptismal font or something, like a water area. I don't know. I'm trying to or maybe like an area with like a coffin, so it's like maybe like a area for a wake or a viewing or something. Hey, Valor, I'm glad I helped. I'm glad I helped you out. Honestly, that's like my whole goal with these streams and with all of these, various community initiatives we offer is to make sure that you learn how to use Dungeon Alchemist to, its absolute potential, understand it, and what it's capable of. Let's see here. I'm thinking I'm going to delete these benches, right? By the way, should I do these like kind of messed up prostration benches that are like not comfortable, or should I do regular pews? This was what it auto-generated in the building. I could regenerate it a few times if I wanted to. So any building you've generated, if you go to the AI room space and go to the edit room tab, select the room, you could just keep regenerating it. Comfort is a sin, right? But see, like, these ones seem nice, like more fitting to the space. Granted, I don't need them all the way up here. Might need some of these. But, I don't know, I like these more. These just feel more like a traditional church chapel type thing. The hard wood, like oak. Thank you so much for all the likes, TikTok. You all are crazy. I really love your brand of crazy. I love you over here. Thank you so much for the support. We're already up to like 1,000 likes. Ah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we could do some empty graves. I'm gonna have some kind of areas where the graves are like structured and or being added, like new ones are being dug. Because we're gonna have like a groundskeeper that would be digging new graves. And we need a groundskeeper shed, by the way. Hey, Yanike? Welcome, welcome. How you doing? Want to make sure I didn't butcher your name there. Yes, of course. That will, in fact, be happening. We will be adding a groundskeeper shed, or it'll be kind of like a home with the shed attached and their tools and like maybe like a wheelbarrow, some shovels, stuff like that, watering can, just stuff to kind of maintain the grounds and also dig graves. I am wonderful. Sorry if I butchered your name. It's kind of somewhat difficult at times to get every name correct, and I do my best, but I occasionally don't, hit it out of the park. So I'm sorry. I don't know why this wall is like pillared here. It makes no sense. Right? Basically, you got the repertoire down already, email. Okay, let's find this stone wall. I feel like it just put a random different one there. So let's figure out what this is. Looks like this. Gothic stone, right? Yeah, let's just change... Ooh, that one. Let's change the entire interior. Why does it do it there? Okay, it fixed it. There we go. Yes, all the lines, the like pillar work is fixed now. That looks so much better. Oh no! So I am building a massive cemetery. Essentially, this will be a huge map. We're looking at a 80 by 80, and when it's all said and done, it'll be essentially an ancient cemetery with lots of graves, winding paths, roads, a big chapel, a groundskeeper, kind of like a cabin and shed. Just a lot of diversity in the graves and style of them, etc. That's the plan, at least. Am I a GM? Yes. However, I don't GM as much as I'd like to. I am, however, a CM, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist, the map making program you see in front of you. And this is our official channel. So we like to showcase, making maps, how to approach various, styles or themes people may want to build. And during these streams, they're a great way to kind of learn from someone who spent a lot of time building maps. Currently, Oscar, freestanding walls is the only way to go above the first floor, which isn't too difficult, I'm not gonna lie. They typically snap, like all freestanding walls snap. And by that I mean they kind of hitch into specific points. One moment. So what you want to do is there. I'm gonna get it just up to the height here. That's like just right. Why is it trying to go at an angle? That is a trip. There we go. Snapped right in. I'm gonna hold shift as I place it. Oh, I guess I didn't hold it in time. But as you can see, you can kind of get them and rotate them, snap them into place. And essentially, it only takes a few minutes to get a second floor this way. Our next update, Fun with Objects, will address multi-level second floors, roofing, a whole bunch of stuff. Just make sure you disable collisions. When you disable collisions, you can then, kind of put objects much closer to each other. And this is a great way to just make it feel taller. This is something that people have been able to do for a while, by the way, this second floor of walls. It's Luther BR, that's a good question, actually. So Luther over on TikTok asks, can I create a post-apocalyptic map with its tool or just medieval settings? So our primary aesthetic and focus is the fantasy aesthetic. That being said, during our Kickstarter, that's what we promised to do. We do lean into early Western as well as some like steampunk type stuff. So it's very possible to do all three of those with Dungeon Alchemist with relative ease. But many in our community, due to the tools and like utilities available in DA, are able to do. And when I say DA, I mean Dungeon Alchemist. I just say that to shorten it. Allow you to build maps in other themes. So right now, our primary theme is fantasy. That's what our AI and our speed tools allow you to do. But if you go onto the workshop here, we have Steam Workshop integration. We have over 9,000 maps, but also nearly 5,000 assets. And these assets are shared by our community members. So there's assets that, go into sci-fi, cyberpunk, cultural. I've seen, people make Fallout maps, ships, all sorts of things. Just to give you an idea, Luther. This one is a pinball machine made with Dungeon Alchemist. Let's look at some other ones here. Let's type sci-fi. Let's see what comes up. Here is a water base made with sci-fi assets, like sci-fi. It's a platform base on a water planet. I've seen ships. I'm trying to see if I can find one. Hold on. Let's try typing ship. I know there are a few. Maybe starship. Anyway. Yes. Like, here's a couple different starships made with DA. Now, granted, as more assets are added to the workshop, you'll have more functionality. And in the future, we plan to branch out of the fantasy aesthetic into alternate things such as sci-fi, cyberpunk, etc. Once we leave early access and have delivered on all our Kickstarter promises, then we plan to offer optional expansions, which would be like, a nominal fee, maybe $20, $30. And that adds on a new theme like cyberpunk, giving you hundreds of thousands of new assets, dozens of new room types, environmental biomes, and it all works within our ecosystem. How do you create assets? Creating assets is a whole can of worms. I'm not going to lie there, Ava. Hey, so it is something, it's basically 3D modeling. So if you have any, experience with 3D sculpting, 3D modeling, etc., you can make your own custom assets. Alternatively, if you've supported like Kickstarters that include 3D models or Humble Bundles or Patreons, or maybe you've purchased tokens for your campaigns, a lot of times those 3D models are compatible with our importer and you can import them into DA. So you have this asset importer here under the Steam Workshop tab, which allows you to import STL files, FBX files, and GLTF/GLB files. So essentially that's, simple tokens, like flat gray, 3D printable tokens, that kind of stuff could be imported. Alternatively, things that are like full color tokens or animated assets. So people have made a whole assortment of stuff and shared it on the workshop. There's hundreds of things from like barricades, magic circles, books, tokens, environmental stuff that just gives you more immersion and diversity in the style of maps you can make. But Blender, Tinkercad, things like that are great utilities to get started because they're free and can make assets relatively simply. Alternatively, you may be able to source them on websites like Thingiverse or Sketchfab. But the thing with that is you need to make sure that they are properly licensed for sharing in that way. Like you can't... So there's a whole bunch of legality here, but there's this term called Creative Commons. And basically what it boils down to is Creative Commons files, assets that have been shared under the Creative Commons license. Typically, the creator allows you to use them for personal use or share them as long as you don't have the intention of, making profit off of them. So if you're borrowing assets from like the workshop or from third parties, you need to be very careful that, you have the proper licensing to share these 3D models. Because if you don't, you are putting yourself in a liability, both, on the Steam Workshop, if you're sharing them. It is a lot like The Sims. It is essentially like Sims meets Baldur's Gate. You know what I mean? Okay, let's get back into building here. So I need a space that'll fit that. I want this to be the bell tower room. So I'm thinking we'll have a little room come off of here, and we'll use the cathedral room type, but I'm going to empty it out. So no objects. Actually, we'll have lighting, but no objects like that. So it'll have walls, windows, and doors, but nothing else. I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. And then we can extend it out a little bit. That should give enough room for the bell tower. A 4x5. Yeah. And maybe like a ladder up to a secondary ledge or something. Let's generate that. I actually like that. This window is kind of large. In fact, I might just delete the windows in this. Regenerate the walls inside because it did that thing again. I'm not sure why it's doing that. And this door, center it. I can also shrink this down a little bit. So maybe I could put like a stair around it. So let's see, we could grab like a stair up. Something like this. Darn. Scale the stair a little bit. Too small to be of use. Hey, Havoc, how you doing? Welcome back. That's pretty close to what I was wanting, and you walk under that to go up, right? Hey, Mike, no problem. Half-Blood, thank you for the kind words. Much appreciated, much appreciated. Welcome, Asmodeus. How you doing, buddy? We could try a winding stair. Let's try this. I wish that part wasn't there. I might just have to make like a custom. Like this one's more what I wanted, just an L, but then it has the weird stone. Like I want it to be nicer. The winding stair, like this one could work, like a spiral in the corner, something like that. We got to play with it a little bit. Hey, Bag of Tips, how you doing? So, Katrin Jupiter, yes, our next update will add roofs, multiple stories, etc. So definitely stay tuned for that. There's no ETA on a release as of yet, so unfortunately I don't have that information. But we are definitely working on that. There is a whole bunch of testing and whatnot going on internally. By the way, You can definitely do roofing now. It's just by hand. If you want the AI to do it, that'll be our next update. So we'll incorporate multi-level and roofing in the Fun with Objects update. Right now, there's several roof objects built into Dungeon Alchemist, like this shingled roof or this shingled spire, and a couple others work as kind of roofed objects. Like these lich gates are great. These ones here, I actually, my wife made them, and then we uploaded them to the Steam Workshop. There's a couple hundred roofs on the workshop as well, so if you click here and just type roof. So essentially, you can use these roofing tiles as assorted roof options, giving yourself, you know, a bit of diversity and whatnot now. There is quite a bit of, like, interest in roofing, which I don't necessarily understand all the time, but, like, I get it. Oh, the shadows, yeah. The separating ambient and indoor lighting will be out in the next update for sure. And yet again, there's a solution on the workshop, shared by Asmodeus. Kind of a novel concept. You see these here? They say roof cover. They're like an invisible shade that will block out the sun from that building. So as long as this is over the top of the roof, and it has little pagination marks so you can line it up, because it is invisible after all. There's a couple different ones that solve those problems. More often than not, if there's an issue that you can't do something like, hey, I need a waterfall or an airship, something like that is likely on the workshop. Now, I don't like to say that is the solution to everything, but I like to give solutions more than saying, no, you can't do something. You know, I like telling you how to do it and give you an option that gives you something now versus saying, oh, you just gotta wait. You know what I mean? So, yeah, no, I appreciate it. You know, I typically drop into streams showing anyone who uses Dungeon Alchemist. We love to pop into their stream and support them. So if you're using, you know, if you're making Dungeon Alchemist maps, you're using it in your campaign, we'll pop in and drop a follow. That's me, by the way, every time. I honestly, we love supporting any content creators out there on any platform that, you know, share Dungeon Alchemist. As a small indie team, you know, essentially we grow off of word of mouth. So when we see anyone out there, we just like to show our support. So yeah, that's more than likely. I dropped in, said hello, right? It complimented your map. I love to hang out in as many streams as I can. Some days I only get a few minutes, but I very much enjoy it. Mike, what do you mean there? Sorry, was I onto a point and got lost? Did my streamer brain lose the concept I was going for? Seisu, how you doing, buddy? Welcome back. Oh my goodness, TikTok, y'all are amazing. 3,000 likes. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get back into this. I like this stair, but then it has this area cut off, so it's like I almost need to make sure this is the access point. I'm considering just making like a custom staircase. So what I'm going to do is have some of these wood platforms, right, as like corner points in the room, and then I'll put stairs in between them. A bit warm. How hot is it today? So we'll start with this, right? So this will be, let's go stair up. Let's find a nice, man, that one could work. No, it's too small. Something like this matches the color to a degree. And I can maybe change the color of that wood to match it better. Let's see if there's a better color. Darn it. Okay, let's see if we can match this. There we go. Hey, Caillou. Man, we've been triple digits for the last 2 weeks in Vegas, and it is just unbearable. That looks so cool. I love doing this to show, like, it is quite possible to do multi-level. You just gotta play around with it a little bit. I'll put some wall around this to make it even feel like a better aesthetic, too. Maybe, like, some half wall there, too, blocking it. But this way they have access to the bell tower and can repair it. Maybe some catwalk going out to it. Doesn't that look neat? I like it. I think it looks clean. Plus, they can store stuff under it. Whatever. Very nice. There's the rope. Yep, I agree. We'll put ladders up into this area. We can just put, like, some extra pews or something in here, right? Storage, like, for documents or anything, really. Furniture. But I like this. This is looking pretty clean. Let's work on the walls here. So we'll use a freestanding wall. And we know this is a Gothic stone. F, let's go to G. Uh-oh, what happened there? Why did it set into the wall? Oh, it probably went onto the stair. Yep, it did. Figure it out. And we cannot use this. It's so strange. It wants to dip. Isn't that interesting? It's like completely fighting it. It's okay. It's the stairs. Has to be. I'll put the stairs in last. Pull this to the side. I feel like that's what's interfering with it, at least. Yep, it is. Knew it immediately. It's like, that was so interesting. Also, I have this, like, if you look at the grid, this building is completely rotated off the grid. So this stuff is just trying to snap into the spaces. It feels like this is appropriate, right? Oh my gosh, it snapped onto that. Are you kidding me? Yep, I gotta put in all this last. That is completely odd, but funny. I like, can't believe that. So what I'm gonna have to do is do this, right? It won't let me select it. That looks pretty good. So we'll use that as the basis. Yeah, it's snapping like 100 times better instead of trying to... I was wondering why it was being so difficult. It was just trying to snap to the thing that didn't, like, all the wood platforms below. looks really good. Is there a Gothic half wall that is like nothing? Probably not. Seen it by now. Probably just do 2 levels of that. Ah, no. Overlapped it. That's a bummer. Play with this in a bit. Figure the rest out first. Kind of want to have like an arch up here instead so it's more open, right? So it's like you can hear outside. Like these little guys. I wish there's like had cuts in them or something. I gotta think about that for a minute. Some of these. Because if anything, like how are you gonna hear this like massive bell tower, right? What the heck was that? Something like that? Does that seem reasonable? I'm gonna keep building the wall around it. I'm just kind of like adding stuff that makes it feel like sound can get out, I guess. Maybe something like that. Is the stream frozen right now? Then let's put the stairs. Watching intently. By the way, I haven't saved in a while, so I'm gonna do that. Okay, so it was that staircase. You know, this one here might match. Well, let's see if there's a tone. No, there isn't. Okay. We had a staircase here, right? And then the rest was wooden platforms in between. I guess I could just use like these in the corners. Ah. Looks pretty good. Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. By the way, I just want to say thank you for everyone that is watching the stream right now, supporting. I appreciate it when people tune in and try to learn from the streams. And we do these Mapmaker Monday streams every Monday, pretty much without fail, unless I'm like having time off or something or sick. But for the most part, every Monday you can tune in to our various stream platforms, hang out, learn about Dungeon Alchemist, watch myself make a map and ask questions in AMA format. You can also share, suggestions and feedback towards the build. That way, if you are wanting to, contribute to these streams, you're welcome to do so. I really like this area here. Thinking I might just put a roof on it or something, like a big shingled roof. Nah, that looks out of place. Might be able to make something custom out of like Gothic stone or something. There's like all this neat masonry and stuff. Ah, these extend quite. I haven't played with these much. They're not like my forte, if you will. No, they can't be resized. Hearing it? Whoa, it can go in at an angle. Not gonna lie, that looks really cool. I'll think about the roof for a bit. Darn it. Flips the door like no matter what I do. Gotta play around with this a little bit. Oops. That transition there, about as good as it's gonna get. I wish there was a half wall of this Gothic stone, but there does not appear to be. Hey Tatsuya, how you doing? Welcome back. Zorback, multi-level building's been available by hand. Like, you can do it by hand, as you see me doing for, over a year now. Pretty much since we gave you the ability to disable collisions, you could start doing multi-level building. But you gotta, move things around or stack them. In our last update, we added the ability, or a couple updates ago, we added the ability to raise objects up and down on the Z-axis, and then we added this number info to it to make it even more precise. Basically, this allows you to raise objects up, move them around on any, at a higher plane. And as you can see here, I've made a multi-floor bell tower attached to this chapel, which I felt was kind of appropriate. It looks nice. I might even raise the floors of these two, the walls, to make it feel taller. But it'll get tricky when I get into these round walls. So anything above the first floor will have to be done by hand at this time. But in our next update, which is called Fun with Objects, we will be addressing multi-level, so multiple floors, roofing, separate ambient and indoor lighting. Faceless Fan, unfortunately we don't have 3D exports, nor do we have really any plans to offer it. I know that it makes sense, and it's a reasonable expectation as you're designing in 3D, right? But basically, Dungeon Alchemist maps allow you to build a beautiful map in 3D, so you get all the angles, get all the details. You can also take screenshots and video in those various 3D, like aspects, so you can essentially fly around like a drone or walk around in first person to gather screenshots and other content to use for handouts and whatnot for your players. But primarily it's meant to be a map maker that you export top down for, printed maps or TV tabletops, projector tabletops with like images or looped videos, or it exports for virtual tabletop software like Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, Foundry, Above VTT, etc. Thank you for the follow, by the way, Faceless Fan. Really appreciate it. The map's coming along good, Satsuya. I need to change that floor to match this one here. Just weird, right? Is that the same black marble? Yeah, it is. Appreciate the kind words, Faceless Fan. I do understand the reason behind wanting like 3D export. First, a lot of people either want to 3D print them and paint, like having little villages and stuff, or some people want 3D model export so they can use it in like game development, so they can use this beautiful map in their game design and have quicker level design. Alternatively, a lot of people want to export for 3D VTTs, which are few and far between, and they're kind of not fully matured and like open, as I would say. Like, for instance, Tailspire is a great 3D VTT, but they only allow you to build your maps within their ecosystem, so you can't import one of our maps even if we did offer 3D export. So there's like kind of a barrier in that aspect. Also, we didn't really, and I don't mean to like tear into you or anything. I hope that doesn't come across this way. I understand the reason for it, or like the need, or like the question entirely. But Dungeon Alchemist wasn't really designed with that in mind. It was designed to be top-down exports that look really beautiful. Can either be just a straight flattened map or kind of have a 3D perspective to them. Like notice those walls right here where my mouse is. So it's flat, or now it has kind of a 3D perspective to it on the export. And those exports feel more immersive and give your players just a little bit more, feeling like they're in the map. What is my favorite function in DA? Let's see here. The best feature currently available, in my opinion, is the object collision toggle. It is kind of, actually, I feel like this should say advanced and then open like a hamburger sub menu of other options, because it does a lot of things with one switch. It needs an overhaul, in my opinion. Oh, that is, I understand that, Faceless Fan, entirely. On the opposite end of the coin, though, we do offer 3D model import. So if you know how to make 3D models, you can import them into DA and have a more customized map feel. Ultimately, though, our maps export as JPEGs or like MP4s or WebM videos. So you can export them as loops or a still in top-down. But I do understand the desire for it. Currently, the only way to really get a full 3D immersion is to either pop a token into the map and then go into first person, which is quite fun. You can walk around your map. Here, let's go check out how that tower turned out that we just made. So here's the bell tower area. I kind of need to put some catwalk here, but we get the idea of the bell tower overall. And it's a great immersion tool to kind of walk around maps in first person and allow your players to absorb it through, what would be considered their player's eyes. We play a lot of tabletop games. Yeah, if you're a 3D designer, if you do 3D modeling or sculpting, you can import 3D models either for local use or share them on the workshop. Here, let me hurry and save this map. So we have an asset importer, which you can import STL files, FBX files, GLTF/GLB files. So you have, simple, like here is a great example of a simple STL file. This is a snail shell. When you import this, it'll look kind of like a flat gray token, and we have a few different color filters that you can apply to it. So it gives you a lot of diversity on a simple flat gray. Alternatively, you can import full color models as long as they're an FBX or a GLTF file. So there's these are some that I've imported and published. This one's one of my more recent ones. The lovely Mrs. Mac made this conical roof for an observatory I was building on Mapmaker Monday streams for a few months. It's a 4-story round wizard tower with this as the top. But I think the ability to import 3D models is a very powerful tool. You can then share these 3D models on the Steam Workshop through that same importer. You can decide to keep them local for personal use, or if you share them on the workshop, they are added to our repository of nearly 5,000 3D models. So essentially, you go from what is stock in DA is roughly 6,500 assets between all our objects, doors, walls, windows, floors, etc. And then you almost double it with the 3D models on the workshop. Plus, the asset importer allows you to import things that aren't stock. We primarily stick to the fantasy aesthetic. Little bit of steampunk and some early Western is what you can usually fit into really easily with our stock assets. But there is, things that are modern, futuristic, different cultural assets, sci-fi, cyberpunk, etc. Hey, no worries, Faceless Fan. Thank you for all the questions. We're available on Steam. There's a link on our profile that goes to our website, and there's links to our Discord, our Steam, etc. there. Or you can just Google Dungeon Alchemist. But we have a free demo you can try out that allows you to, test DA on your system, see how it runs. It's a modest demo, only 6.7 gigabytes, and it gives you kind of an access to a small slice of the overall pie. You get access to one of our 11 biomes, and you get to make a tavern, which is one of our, hundreds of room types available. But definitely check it out, give it a try, see how it runs on your computer, and if you like it, ultimately, it's a reasonable one-time fee for a lifetime license. So back to my favorite feature, it's the collision toggle. And when you disable this, it allows you to, put objects closer together. So maybe you want to make a new kind of pew that looks, like these linked pews. Now you have a new unique object, or maybe an L-shaped bench for like a restaurant or something, right? So you can move it in and have like a booth. Now, these tools allow you to make new and unique objects because you can move objects closer together where you could normally not do that because the collision toggle would fight with you and tell you, nope, that's not an option, right? So, keeping that in mind, right? Now that the collision toggle is off, a few secondary behaviors are added. You can scale objects up and down without impunity for the most part, as long as there's not a lock on it to begin with. You can, make tiny little Lilliputian size objects or tokens, or even Titan sized objects or tokens. The same goes for like these walls. So, in that same breath, I could put a wall like this down, oversize it, and make it a massive city wall if I wanted to. This gives you a lot of versatility in what you can do with your objects. Lastly, when you disable collisions, this little arrow appears. Notice it disappears when they're on. You can raise objects up and down, sinking them into the ground, raising them up. That's essentially how I built these multiple floors. Yes, exactly. We've got a giant there, or a Titan outside. I actually enjoy making tokens oversized, because when you go into their eye, like the icon, their FP view, you're now giant, and it just feels so cool. This is just impressively fun. Can I just say thank you to TikTok? We have 3K likes right now. Y'all are the realists. That means a lot to me. But if you are a GM, DM, and you're making maps for a fantasy setting, in a tabletop campaign, whether it be D&D, Pathfinder, any of those kind of settings, I definitely recommend Dungeon Alchemist as a tool for your tool belt. I don't really think any one map making tool allows you to build every type of map you want with relative ease. But ultimately, I think any GM, typically has a few different tools in their tool belt to effectively tell their stories. Maybe it's, immersive soundscapes and storytelling and really good on the fly, adaptive DMing. Other things might be the map making tools or your virtual tabletop, those types of things. Maybe you play on a TV tabletop at home with all these very cool, neat objects that make your gameplay feel like you're in like a tavern while you play. I don't know. Everybody plays a little bit differently, and all of those are tools in your tool belt to effectively make your gameplay and production more fun for your players, right? Another tool within Dungeon Alchemist is the Steam Workshop itself. OB over on TikTok says, I am saved by the Steam Workshop to use other people's maps to quickly get a map, right? So Dungeon Alchemist can make maps fast, but if you need a map quickly in a pinch, maybe you can search for something and find it. And it can either be the map you use or a basis of a map as like a quick whatever. And I say this because Dungeon Alchemist is ultimately designed as a time-saving map maker, but at the end of the day, it allows you to build the more intricate, detailed maps that can take hours to build if you want. So it's really kind of both the best of both worlds. But tools like the workshop with over 9,000 maps, many of which are themed to existing, campaign settings. There's tons of Fandelver, tons of Strahd, tons of Tomb of Annihilation, you could just go in and search for maps and grab one really quickly, or use it as a foundation to make adjustments that'll fit your setting better. Half Ogre from YouTube says, I backed EA on Kickstarter, but didn't actually start to experiment with it about 2 months ago. I'm blown away with how great this product is. To be honest, man, you've missed a lot of our development, but that's good. You just jumped in at like one of the best times ever, right before one of our most pivotal updates. So I'm glad you were able to jump into our community and start using the map making tool in its current state, because it's grown so much in the last 2 years. Okay, let's get back to some map making. By the way, if you have any questions related to this tool, how to build something, how to export something, how to use the Steam Workshop, please let me know, and I will do my best to address your questions. These streams are AMA format. It's my job to answer your questions, community, questions and insights and suggestions and feedback. I actually have a notebook here for any feedback you guys and gals share during the stream, so please let me know if you need any assistance or have any suggestions, etc. Also, I would like to point out that we do have a website where our roadmap is featured, and it's actually a suggestion board. It's called Upvoty. Seisu, if you're around, or Asmodeus, either or, could one of you share the links on YouTube, Steam, and Twitch? Unfortunately, cannot share anything on TikTok link-wise. They won't allow us, but our Upvoty is our suggestion board, and it shows our roadmap, what's actively being developed, what's been developed, and the suggestions of all our community, so people can vote on them, upvote them, add comments. The more upvotes anything gets, the more likely it is to be noticed by our devs and incorporated into Dungeon Alchemist. There are many like aspects of Dungeon Alchemist that were incorporated simply due to community interest. Adding a pineapple pizza button in DA, or just an object. Urcal, welcome back. Unfortunately, I don't have anything new per se, other than what I'm working on in this build, which is coming along quite well. Put a second 4 around this. Oops. The roadmap, unfortunately, I can't put the link in on TikTok, but if you Google Dungeon Alchemist Upvoty or go to our website, dungeonalchemist.com, I believe there's a link to our roadmap there. Tim Lloyd, I mean, you can import Dungeon Alchemist to Tabletop Simulator as a JPEG, and if they support MP4 or WebM, you can also do that. Our maps are meant to export as simple images or video files, and that's how they work with any virtual tabletop, Foundry, Fantasy Grounds, etc. There's several people in our community who use Dungeon Alchemist maps in Tabletop Simulator quite frequently, in fact. I think one of them, Mondu, is who does it, I believe. If Mondu is around. If anyone else is around, let me know. But there's a few different people in our community who do it with relatively decent success. We don't really have any plans to offer full 3D exports because Dungeon Alchemist wasn't designed with that in mind. Many of our objects are like simple shapes with elaborate texture maps on them. So it'd be like a simple box or a cylinder, something like that has like a brilliant wallpaper on top of it. So even if we did offer 3D export in its current state, like things like water, many surfaces and textures and things would just be gone. It'd be simple, flat, gray shapes with no detail to them, if that makes any sense. Unfortunately, there is no plans for that in the interim. But I will say, one thing to consider, my friend, is yes, our devs have listened to our community's suggestions and feedback regarding having Dungeon Alchemist as a virtual tabletop, a standalone VTT. And after we leave early access, they said they're going to look into doing like VTT Lite features, things like fog of war, dice rolling, maybe multiplayer, etc., to facilitate better in-game, like in-person and maybe online play. What that will facilitate, how many features, etc., I am honestly not 100% certain at this time, but the devs at various instances on our streams, when they've been guests or we've had like AMAs, they have expressed interest in that. Plus, VTT Lite is set as planned on our roadmap now instead of not anything, you know? So ultimately, I think at some point we will, but I think it's after we have delivered on all our stretch goal promises and have left early access. So until that point, until we've met that, like those goals, the existing promises to our community, I don't think we're going to feature creep quite that hard. Does that make sense? Hey, Swifty, thanks for popping by. Appreciate you being here. Oh, Half Ogre, you like the Wizard Retreat videos? They're pretty cool. I enjoyed making that tower. If anyone wants to take a look at it, we can open it up really quick. I don't mind taking a peek. I may not do a second floor around this. I'm on the fence about it. We'll think about it because I'm not really liking how it interacts with these arch windows, which I prefer to have these windows. They're pretty cool. Center those. One thing though I am going to do is put another building on this side, which will be the what the heck? What the heck? Okay. There will be another room over here, and this will be kind of like the viewing area for like if there's a casket, you know? I mean, every single update, Urcal, is a check mark off of our featured promises from our stretch goals on our Kickstarter. So when we started as a Kickstarter, there was a series of stretch goals, right? Those stretch goals are essentially each one is a planned update. So our next update, Fun with Objects, is one of those featured promises from the Kickstarter. Fun with Objects will give you more object manipulation, more, color assortment, fanciness, slider, etc., things like that. Ultimately, I'm thinking that as it stands, basically we release a major update every 3 to 6 months on average. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer depending on the scope of the update. Like our last update incorporated round and diagonal rooms, being able to rotate rooms, raise and lower rooms, and that was a very challenging aspect. Plus, we had to migrate to a new version of Unity in this last update, so it took a little bit longer as a result of that. But Dylan, it's already released. We're in early access right now. If you backed us on Kickstarter, you should have gotten an email from Kickstarter or Backer Camp, wherever you backed, with the information, or you can go to Kickstarter and look at your account info. But basically, you should have gotten a code that you can redeem through Steam and activate your backer key. If you can't locate that email, maybe it got deleted or whatever, if you can come into our Discord, if you go to our website, we have a link for our Discord. And our Discord, we offer support for tracking down backer keys. But we've been in early access for a little over 2 years now. And we just released an update in June. So basically, we try to release a major update every 4 to 6 months or so. You can see here lots of patch notes going back several years and all the things we've added: objects, quality of life improvements, different stretch goals. So everything is lava, the treasury, magic, etc. Those are all different stretch goals. And as we've been doing these updates, we incorporate features that weren't ever planned. So there's lots of suggestions on our upvote board that our community will bring to our attention and say, hey, we really like this and want this feature. So we do our best to incorporate it if it's possible. It's not necessarily a democracy. We don't go, oh, everything that's upvoted really highly can be incorporated. Sometimes it just can't happen. But things like multi-level, for instance, round and diagonal rooms, these were things that were never really planned, but they are now. They're being worked on. So Gore, I plan to have a groundskeeper shack that's going to be back here somewhere. It'll be like his cabin with an attached shed with a bunch of tools for like gardening, digging graves, etc. Wheelbarrow, things like that. I'm focused right now primarily on the chapel. The chapel is where the various funerals take place, is how I'm kind of feeling it. I'm thinking I'm going to put like a little font up here, like a water font, so people can wash their hands, or do their little ritual and then come in. And then we have the priest up here. It's back one section, so we could put like a casket here or something. But yeah, Ricky, you get the idea. It's essentially something like that. Yeah, these benches, not digging them. I'm thinking I'm going to delete a couple of these ones in here. Like, I like these ones because then it makes sense. It's like, oh, these are seats in the chapel when people walk in. I was thinking of putting a wall here between this, kind of blocking it off. So it's like a double door entry. Yes, Urcow, you can place tokens. And then you can go into first person and see what it looks like in first person view. So I plan to have a priest here, right? Something like that. I'm thinking some statues in these spots would be good. Fighting me. It's probably because collisions. Yep. It doesn't want to go into that corner. Weird. That is so odd. Most of the stairs, tokens can typically traverse them all right, but you need to make sure there's enough headroom for the token to pass through. So what's above the token, right, where it's going in your map? Is there like an arch that it's bumping its head? Is there an invisible wall that you're not taking into account? So a lot of, like maybe you made an invisible space, but it might have an invisible collider that it's hitting. Something like that is problematic. So keeping that in mind, I think that there's a few things you may want to take into account. Most stairs are in fact traversable. Shouldn't be a problem at all. Hold on. Let me show you what I mean. Like, I have these stairs over here that I put in maybe 20-30 minutes ago. Just gonna pop a token, make sure it can actually go through that doorway there. That's really the only parameter. Our stairs have colliders that allow you to traverse them. If you get a stair from the workshop, it's gonna be hit or miss. Because the workshop assets, if somebody uploaded those, they may not have put the colliders for each step, allowing you to traverse it correctly. So some artists that upload assets will take the time to put in the colliders for each step, and some will not. So that's something to take into account. If it's a stock staircase, pretty much always traversable as long as there's not an invisible wall or something that your head would hit. Just notice there's a little slat there. Might have to fix that. I did not notice that. No! No! And those are from the workshop, but the creator who made those actually took special care to make sure they have colliders that allow you to traverse them as long as the token's the correct size. Let me just open my map and I'll show you really quick. That's a good suggestion, Asmodeus. I like that. So an item from the workshop, like if the token is too big, it definitely will not be able to traverse it. Let me show you what I mean. So this token's oversized. I'm gonna, just falling in, I got stuck on the object, right? There's a hole here. I should be able to go through it, but this stair is blocking me. So that object has a collider on it that's preventing it. So size of the token is important when trying to traverse the insides of a building. Made it a little bit smaller and go that first step. Might not be able to do this next one. The other thing too is you want to make sure the height of objects just above it, like you don't want to hit this, right? So it needs to be just high enough that you can go back up. But like this corkscrew stair, I typically hit spacebar and jump a little bit as I go, because sometimes it gets hung up on things. Same with any curved stair. Just tap jump sometimes as you're going up. A little bit of platforming can go a long way. Alex, we're doing great, actually. But I do have a lot of practice traversing various levels of maps, and platforming is something I've been doing for years as a long-time gamer, and it's kind of a fun hobby of mine. So I made this one, Swifty. It's a 4-story wizard respite. It's his tower in the middle of the woods where he goes to get away and work on it, practice his magic and spells, and observe the cosmos. There's even a little escape hatch out the back if he happens to get attacked, but it's deep in the forest. It pretty much has to teleport to get here, right? Or fly. I like to think he was flying with like a broom of flying, found this place and started like found a kind of an open area in the woods and started kind of sculpting it to his needs. Hey, Nephirin, welcome, and thank you for the kind words. Nephirin says, currently using DA for my campaign with my friends, having a blast to make my maps on it and playing them with my friends as GM. Big up for the community with this much wonderful workshop, right? We got a lot of cool stuff on the Steam Workshop that really adds allure and value to Dungeon Alchemist as a standalone, tool. One-time purchase for a lifetime license is a very powerful tool. But the 9,000 maps and nearly 5,000 3D models you have access to as a bonus is a huge, value added, right? Okay, let's get back to the map build that we were working on. I will be putting this up on the workshop in a few days. Had a lot of stuff going on that I've had to do because... So I live in a neighborhood with an HOA, and we had a violation I had to take care of, and it was like a lot of work. So, some paint, was chipping on the side of our house, and it took a few days to get it all in order. Enough about my life. I haven't really had time to upload things like that. Same height. Ain't that the way, Swifty? Honestly, you know, some people in our community spend tons of time making maps because they find it cathartic or therapeutic, just enjoy it, or they love the detailed nature that you can really dive in and give your players like every aspect of detail they may ask for. Oh, you found this chest? Well, open it and see what's in it. You know what I mean? But I do think at the same time, there are instances where it, you know, you can definitely spend a lot of time making maps that where you didn't plan on it. I kind of got it as a map maker to just experiment, and I spend tons of time making maps. It's never been about saving time for me, but I know a lot of people in our community use the automated tools to generate rooms or generate environments in seconds. You know, sometimes their player will be like, oh, we want to go this way to this random forest that we heard about 2 months ago, instead of going to the area you had planned for a session. So you just have to generate something or find stuff on the, you know, on the workshop to fill a niche really quickly. Yeah, and so I get that, Alex. Yeah, my HOA is kind of a pain sometimes. Like if a light bulb's out on my porch, they'll throw a fit, or if there's, you know, weeds that are over an inch tall, they throw a fit. And I get it. They want the neighborhood to stay looking nice. But I do think sometimes there are people on our HOA that just don't really have anything better to do. And not to, you know, make fun of anyone, but I ultimately have, you know, a lot of work and family commitments and hobbies and stuff like that. And so I find some of their stuff to be very trivial at times. But I still gotta, you know, play along if I want to live here. On the other hand, though, our neighborhood always looks very clean. Oh yeah, Dungeon Alchemist can be very therapeutic for sure. I mean, not to mention they're incredibly predatory and kind of have like a really dicey history, HOAs as a whole. Um, but yeah, okay, so really need to think about this here for a moment. Should I put like a viewing area over here with like a casket so people could go in, like a viewing type area, like, you know, when you go to a funeral, so you can walk in and pay your respects? Or should I do a confessional booth over here? Because we do have that new confessional, which actually can have a secret compartment behind it because it like opens up, so you could have a secret room back here for some intrigue. So if you look here, these, let's open these doors here. So these rotate, and there's like a secret, like it goes back to a secret area behind. Be cool to kind of have like a little staircase here that might go down to like an underground area, something. So I was thinking of having an offset chamber here that was just like another room with like a casket, but I could also just do the casket right here. You know what I mean? So there's several ways to approach building an underground area. So Tim Lloyd just asked, can you demonstrate building an underground area? The simplest approach is just use our pit rooms. We have a whole bunch of rooms called pits. Pits can essentially be, an underground space with relative ease. What just happened there? So not only do they generate as a downward kind of hole, right? You can also sink regular rooms and have them just be underground, technically now. This arrow is on the side of buildings, so any room type you could do this with. Let's say we just make it a deeper pit. So let's say you wanted something to feel more like a dungeon or whatever. Crypt is a great option, so we could just do like a hallway. And then it's underground. If you want this to feel like it's more up to the edge, you can go into the terrain tools after you've kind of set the area up. And the terrain. Oops. Actually, no. Let's do a flattened terrain and we'll speed up the brush entirely. You can kind of bring this in very seamed to this underground area. And this could be attached to an adjacent room. I just did this over here to show you how it's entirely possible to build below the floor line. Alternatively, you can use the terrain tools and go down, cut an area out and then use objects to create an underground area. Pits are a great way to just have an adjacent hole next to something, though. So what I was thinking here is I was going to extend this wall out by 1, right? This entire section as a new room. And it would just be like a secret area that's an offshoot of this. Right? Window, get rid of this window. And then I was going to have a downward stair here. So you could just simulate a basement with a downward stair. And that's my favorite way to do it, is to just have something like this. Let's turn in there. So now we have what simulates a downward area, right? You could just have a separate scene that's the underground rooms, but if you have to have the room adjacent or would like it, use the pit, like we just did. So let's go back into pits. Let's do a rock dig. Get rid of these doors here, because that's definitely not... And now it just feels like that door goes into this space, right? At the end of the day, though, you got to remember, visually, there's going to be kind of a hard way to block this off to your players, right? If it's all on the same map. Anytime I do an underground area, I just have a doorway for immersion leading to it or a hatch, and then I'll have it on a separate map. That's in my opinion, the best way to approach it. But everybody kind of has their own preference. Dum 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 dum. And then we'll just put a door here. Which door should I put? None of the secret doors match that. Oh man, that doesn't line up with it? Ugh, icky. Icky. That is so frustrating. Okay, we'll figure that out in a minute. Let's find a door. Maybe just an arch. See through it there. That makes 0 sense. Just doesn't line up. No! We'll figure this out in a minute. Maybe I move it over into the corner. But yeah, it doesn't... I'm gonna have to take it off of grid and manually place it. Let's put a door first, and then we'll use that as the basis. That lined up. But now it's not center. No. That's so frustrating. The doors are just like ever so slightly off. I wish we could put doors in between. I think I'll put like a big bench or something here to like offset this. I hate that so bad that it won't center. I didn't think about it. Can I scale this at all? Oh, okay. That's gonna save the day. What is this? A confessional booth for giants? I mean, that, you know what? You got some points there. A European altar? What do you mean, Emil? Explain that to me. I'm not familiar with that. It is neat, huh, Dyson? Gotcha. So it's usually wood carvings, not like mosaics or paintings or stuff like that. That's interesting. Didn't realize I have caps on. Sorry about that. That look fancy. I was hoping to have the water in that, but are these pulpits pretty common in like European churches? Hey, Garrus, how you been, buddy? Going to church? Swifty, that sounds like something from like my cousin Vinny. Oh gosh. You are going to dad joke jail for that one, Swifty. Straight to jail. Believe it or not, straight to jail. So confessional booths are pretty popular in at least Catholic churches, if I'm not mistaken. They're like a common trope in movies. You see them all the time. It'll be like, someone will go in and confess their sins or whatever. A baby. No. This is a like cleansing font, right? So people can come in, they can make a quick prayer and cleanse themselves and then head into the church. Part of me wants to seal this in this area and make this smaller. Believe it or not, straight to jail. Yeah, let me wall this off. Let's take a look and see what we can come up with here. Confusing? Arches. You mean arcades? Something like that? There's just not many arch options that'll agree with this, you know what I mean? Let's take a look here. See, there's really only like 2 stone arcades and it doesn't match this build at all. That's the problem we have right now. Let's see what if I'll figure it out. I'm not against it, Ricky. Like, I'm open to the idea. It just, I've been using Gothic stone for the whole build. So I kind of want to keep it that, if that makes sense. But if I can find something that'll work, I'll figure it into it. Maybe even multiple doors instead of just the single double. But it is large enough to accommodate in this instance, right? There will be a staircase coming up here too, like a patio type area. I'm going to shape this terrain here in a bit. So just remove this back row and then switch this around so the door flows outward. Take that one. So we have some water fonts. Dang, that's crazy, Mill. I mean, you probably have some churches that are like older than my country where you live, right? It's impressive. Maybe something like that could work. It won't be the end of the world if just a couple of arches. I could have sworn we used to have a lot more arcades. That's why it's confusing. One thing we do have is a lot of different Gothic stone options, so I might incorporate some of this into like into these upper areas once I can figure it out. Something like this. Maybe put a pillar under it so it just feels more. Yeah. I don't know. Play with it later. I'm not too convinced on that. The way I see these are like donation spots. People can donate, right? Does that make sense? Or maybe grab a program or something? Like there could be like a scroll or something in it. Or paper. No. I don't know. We'll think about it. Coins would be a good idea, though. Dang! Put a duck where, y'all? So, y'all call me Mac, right? That's my nickname, right? It's not my real name, it's my nickname. Oh, by the way, Reaper Huntsman, thank you for the follow. Bryn Stoll, thank you for the like. Brian Sung, thank you for the like. Much appreciated. Where did you send it? Did you DM it to me? I don't see it. Oh, I'll send you. Yeah, send it to me. Or, yep, there we go. Wow. That's beautiful. But then there's two types of stone, so or maybe even three. So there's like sections that were built at different periods, right? Because there's two different types of brick, and then the base like stone for the chapel. The roofing is beautiful. That's got to be like rich patina. So what, a copper roof with like really aged patina? That's beautiful. Here, let me So, from my reckoning, just looking at this, it looks like the main church was the main segment, right? Which at times looks like it's had to be rebuilt or maybe cleaned because the bricks here are different colors from the rest, so they might have been replaced. Like even the base of the tower is different brick from as you go up, right? Now these outer sections here and here definitely built at different times, but this one's a different color from this one. The roofing, obviously, on it, like these roofing and this one was all done in a copper, which has over time gotten that green patina on it. Looks beautiful. It's a beautiful chapel, like stunning. But this gives me a great idea of what to do, too. Some stonework there. I see the arches. Kind of similar stuff I was doing, at least in mine to a degree. Like over here, right? I don't really have a beautiful roof that we could put there, but at least we've got some of it. Can you ban that person? Ban Leon Sack? Or I mean, not Sack, Seisu, sorry. I'm gonna get those gargoyles. I guess we could just do that outside some. Adds a little bit of a fun aesthetic at the front. Let's put some more statues inside. What do y'all think about that? One thing I also wanted to do was like a little hedge maze somewhere near the back. Yes, the ghost himself. This is, in fact, Dungeon Alchemist. This is the official Dungeon Alchemist channel on YouTube, where you're watching right now. We're also live streaming on multiple platforms: Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Steam, TikTok, etc. And all of the channels we're live on are our official channels on those platforms. My name is Mac, by the way, Ghost, and I'm the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask away. We keep these streams as an AMA format, allowing users to, ask questions. Anyone in our community can ask questions and get guidance in real time. But today's stream is called Mapmaker Monday. We are building a map in real time for our community to watch and learn and share feedback and suggestions. So it's a great way to learn how to use Dungeon Alchemist. Do you own a copy of Dungeon Alchemist, Ghost? Sorry to put you on the spot. I just wanted to get to know you a little bit. Need some lighting on the outside here. Also want to flatten this out and put like a patio. Let's do that. Oops, that is a pit. No! Cathedral. We'll do it with no objects and no walls. Oh, nice. Well, I'm glad you checked it out and enjoyed it so far. If you do have any questions or concerns, feel free to let us know. We're here to guide you and assist you in any way possible. Snap there. So Half Ogre, for now, until we leave early access, we plan to focus on the remainder of our Kickstarter stretch goals, which, I mean, there's quite a bit left to do. You know what I mean? And until then, there's 5 major updates until we leave early access, at which point then our devs have stated that they may consider offering expansions, like optional expansions, to give you, more versatility. Oops, don't want that. So things like cyberpunk, sci-fi, and stuff are on the horizon, but it will be a while. Obviously, once we leave early access. Finally found the other arches I was looking for. I knew we had other Gothic stone arches. Fun with objects will be a nice update. It'll give a lot of versatility to Dungeon Alchemist, including multi-level builds. I know people have been wanting, second floors, multiple stories, roofing, separate indoor and outdoor lighting. All of that will be supported by AI instead of using, building it by hand or using tricks or workarounds. Thank you, Willow, for the duck. Much appreciated. Quack. Who couldn't use a duck? Let's look at some plants. I might put something... These little plant hangers could look nice, right? I'm also thinking like a lamp or something out here. Agreed. Tim, you're right. 100%. I'm putting a lot of time into this chapel, probably more than I should, if I'm being honest with you. But I do feel like it's going to be a major centerpiece of the entire cemetery. So getting it right is crucial, right? And I want it to feel like a big, massive, daunting piece of architecture that kind of draws your attention to it when you go in. Somewhat brutalist, and that's why I chose Gothic. Because I want it to feel very like like death, if you will. I do like where this is going. I feel like I should extend the road out to this position, get it in tandem with it so I can get a stair going down. My plan was to use like one of these staircases here that looked rather clean, like this wide stair, and put it like this. We'll disable collisions. Thinking something like this. So it comes down from like the main road. I was also feeling like maybe having a little area to the back or over here where there's like parking for wagons and stuff. Like carts and wagons and like stabling. Y'all feel like that's a good idea? Overall, though, I feel like this is really coming along. Let me save this. I haven't saved in a few minutes. So we made some decent progress on today's stream. We've got the confessional booth and the bell tower added, both which look great. They're going to need some finishing touches. I wanted to put some stuff stored under all this, you know, barrels and extra pews and stuff just shoved under there like it's a storage room, right? Maybe like some lockers or like a wardrobe or something over here where they can keep like different vestments and things like that for the chapel. There will be a kind of a secret underground area, which we kind of showed off here, as the confessional booths have a secret door behind them going into a chamber, an offset chamber with a downward staircase. So those needing sanctuary can go hide. I'm considering adding a small, like, attachment for the priest. For the chaplain. Or maybe a small, like, building to the side that's the chaplain's home. That will be in a future stream, though. For now, we're going to have to move on to next week because it is now past 11, so it's time to wrap up today's stream. Had so much fun hanging out with y'all, but unfortunately we do have to end it for today. I'm going to save one more time. if y'all have any last minute questions, concerns, let me know, and we'll address them before we wrap up today's stream. Hey, Half Ogre, anytime. I'm here to, assist and guide in any way. We got an animated duck. Hold on. Toypiary? That's how he spelled it? Now I know why I couldn't find it before. Okay. Let's grab this, grab this mallard here. Or are these animated? They'll look like they're floating. I kind of want an animated duck. Let's see what this one does. Multi-level building can already be done by hand if you're willing to do it. Sit there and place the levels and stack them by hand yourself. But if you are looking for something that is automated more with an AI guidance, kind of just click and drag and it's done, that will be available in our next update titled Fun with Objects, which there is unfortunately not a launch date yet. Honestly, there's a problem kind of with that. So I've been going through the sessions, editing them. One of the sessions is corrupt. The recording is bad. So there's like a large chunk of information that's somewhat instrumental. And I've been going through it and trying to edit out stuff that doesn't have context or use, and there's just like 20 hours of footage to sift through. It takes a long time to edit that much footage by yourself. So I apologize that it isn't available. It's on my to-do list. I just work on it on my spare time when I'm not working on tutorials for the new content. So right now I'm actively working on an in-depth guide to show how to better build rooms with the new round and diagonal and, rotating, raising, and lowering. And it is going to be an in-depth kind of guide that shows you how to do all that stuff. But then at the same time, I'm making it, and then the devs are showing me the multi-floor stuff, and I'm considering just waiting to put it all together as one thing instead of it being two separate videos. But I do understand there's an interest in that guide, and it hasn't left my, my purview. It's just, it was put on the back burner due to Magic, and now that Magic is launched, there's a few other things that take priority before it's out. It is a very good tutorial. There's a lot of footage, though, that is, dead air, things aren't being talked about, intro sequences where there's nothing of context or consequence, exit sequences, issues with like tech where it's disconnecting or not working. So I have to basically go through and sift all of that out and get rid of it. Let's put another duck. Let's do these, and then we'll do the other one too. I mean, ultimately, the current tutorial that I've been putting together that's Blender was one of our community members who volunteered their time to show people how to do it and use it. So it was completely voluntary on their part. I mean, if you're interested in sharing that knowledge with the community, maybe we could talk about setting up some kind of like a class stream or something, but it will have to wait at least until the other one's up. The thing, though, is I kind of have this kind of bit of a I'm torn because it really is not our like our place or not. And I don't say this to brush, to pass the buck, but to teach how to use like photo editing, video editing, 3D modeling programs is something far outside the scope of my my job description, and I still do love help doing it and guiding people, but there's so many different tools out there that I'm not necessarily familiar with. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I'll try to guide you through the tool you're using or with the best of my knowledge of how to do it. But my expertise lies with Dungeon Alchemist itself and not with, a photo editing program or a video editing tool or a 3D modeling tool. So while I can offer some guidance in those, at the end of the day, my job is to teach you how to use DA. Those other features are kind of advanced level features that do require a little bit of outside knowledge. I mean, the thing is like, Caillou, I could show how to do Photoshop, but that only helps people who have a subscription or a license for Photoshop, right? There is a lot of outside knowledge that like really is outside the purview of my job title, but at the same time, I don't mind helping. Like, I definitely don't mind, and I've helped and guided people through our community with these issues many times. And I mean, it's outside my job description to help guide with DMing, but I do it too. You know what I mean? So I don't mind offering guidance for like, coming up with, cool like storytelling mechanisms and or Foundry assistance. And the thing is I don't mind helping with Foundry because at the end of the day, our maps work with Foundry, so I'm going to guide you into making sure it works with Foundry. But I also offer guidance, and I'll be like, hey, check out this module, or check out how to do this in Foundry, because I know how to use it myself. But at the same time, I don't know how to use like some other photo editors like GIMP. I have no idea how to use it. So I'd have to learn it from the ground up to teach people how to effectively use it. Does that make sense? So yes, I want to do that, but it also means I've got to take time to learn these tools and then incorporate them into our whatever repertoire. Right now, my main focus is on the streams and creating content for our social platforms, as well as tutorial videos that will stand the test of time, not be outdated within a few months. I'll be honest, we're kind of wrapping up the stream today, but if you want to make a ruined building, I would just go into the abandoned ruins setup and use the temple. Generate that, it'll look like a really destroyed building, and then you could just fill it with church objects, right? So generate your structure, get it to the shape you want, rotate it, raise it to the height that you're happy with. Make sure you have objects, lighting, walls, windows, doors. So this kind of looks like a broken down building with walls broken and stuff like that. Then you could just fill it with pews. For now, that's one option. We don't have as many abandoned. There is also a chapel in the abandoned, by the way. So this works great for a ruined church. Oh no! No! DA is completely crashed. But yeah, if you use the abandoned ruins chapel or temple, those work great for making a rundown, old church. Well, I save pretty regularly. I hadn't done any work since I last saved. So, and I have my autosave on, so we good, fam. Didn't lose a thing. Okay, let's try generating that again. So we'll go to abandoned ruins chapel, right? Man, what is up with DA today? And let's say you're not happy with the stonework or the design. Regenerate it a few times. Eventually, you'll start getting something that's more in tune with what you want. And this doorway here, just a pro tip, the doorway is the centerpiece for the AI generation. So wherever you have the door, it will use that as the AI generation kind of focal point. So keeping that in mind, if you move the door. Isn't that kind of neat? Go back through all the variations it made, but in a few minutes we got a few different chapels. Hope that answers your question there, Mythwing. If you're looking for more diversity than those offer, remember, you can generate the base structure and then start filling it manually. You don't have to rely on the AI to do everything. There is like furniture that is all ruined. There's tons of ruined pews, like tables, chairs. You can go through and decorate it manually for sure. Broken crosses. In fact, I'm going to be incorporating some of these into this build in some of the more run-down areas. But this entire, if you go to furniture, there's an entire section labeled ruined. Tons of broken, ruined furniture on its side that gives you more options to fill in that. Oh, yeah. So in our last update, Mythic, we added the ability to shape the rooms more freely. You can, if you grab this little dot on the corner here, it's kind of hard to see. But you can pull it inward to do a round shape or outward to do a bite. So convex or concave shapes. Or if you pull it to the side, it does a slice that's a straight, like diagonal cut. Or not a straight diagonal cut, just a diagonal cut. You get the idea of what I'm saying there. And before generating the structure, you can rotate it. As long as you're in a terrain biome, you can do all this. You can raise and lower the structure, so you can sink it into the ground and make it feel like it's kind of overgrown, which is a great way to kind of, oh, this chapel's been buried in, you know, in the sands of time. Let's do it like this. Isn't that kind of neat? Hey, Eric. Appreciate you, brother. How you doing? Eric just hosted a one-shot for my family, and, you know, it was super fun. We ran into some technical difficulties with my kid's audio, which took like a hour of our time away, but that's nothing Eric had any control over. And then we, like, were RPing pretty heavy, so we didn't get as much of the one-shot done as we wanted to, but we had a lot of fun. But Eric is a great GM. Now I know from experience, now that I've spent some time hanging out with him. As a GM, I can speak from experience that he is, in fact, very skillful. Great storyteller, very adaptable, funny, and encourages your antics versus stifling your creativity, which is something I always love in a GM. It was enjoyable, to say the least. I hope you had a good time, man, as a DM. That kind of is important, too. Why is that just jumping like crazy? So, for Mapmaker Monday, we've started a large cemetery build, which will be the focal point of our streams on Monday for the next few weeks. And right now I'm focusing on building a large cathedral to facilitate all the, funerals, the processions of the dead, if you will. But it's got a little bit to it. So we've got obviously the large bell tower, which was the focal point of the build for today's stream, and the entry point, which we have, some archway entries and some fonts, like donation fonts and like hand washed fonts, so you can cleanse yourself before you walk in. Little entry point here over behind the confessional booth, because the confessional booth has these neat little secret hatches in it where it can open to a secret door. We decided to take advantage of that and make a little secret compartment with a downstairs area, which I will expand upon later, but for right now that's just kind of the intro thought process behind it. Probably going to put like some boxes and crates and stuff back here, just like storage, random stuff. But I think of it as an area where anyone seeking sanctuary can be ferried away and hidden, or maybe something nefarious could happen underground in a separate area. Anyway. But we've actually run past our time today. We were supposed to wrap up at 11. So the stream will be over as of now. We're going to wrap up here and call it quits. But I appreciate everyone that hung out today for Mapmaker Monday. Thank you so much for being here. Whether you're a new viewer to the channel, so if it's your first time here, or you're a long time viewer, whether you were lurking or just kind of, like lurking in the background, hanging out, just watching, or if you were actively chatting and providing support and feedback, thank you everyone for being here. Had a lot of fun. Our next stream, let's see here. Our next stream should be Wednesday. So on Wednesday, we host a stream in our Discord server called Office Hours, where we hang out, get to know each other as GMs and storytellers and cartographers alike. We discuss Dungeon Alchemist development and what's in the pipeline. We also provide live support during that stream. Rather than focus on map making or focusing on community assets or maps, it's really focused around getting to know each other and providing support. So maybe you're looking to make some friends in the map maker space or GM space, or need some advice for your game, or want to learn more about Dungeon Alchemist, feel free to join us on Wednesday in our Discord. That starts at 10 a.m. Pacific. That'll be 1 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. CET. The stream lasts for roughly 2 hours, and it is exclusive to our Discord. So you must be a member of our Discord to participate in that stream. Seisu or Asmodeus, can you drop the links for our Discord, please? Or the event, at least, link for the for Office Hours, please? If you could get the event link, that'd be very appreciative. I'd be very appreciative, because then it's a direct link to the event, which they can RSVP to. So, where did Office Hours go? Oh, there it is. I see it. So, if you click on the link for the Discord event, it'll go right to a space where you can click interested, which RSVPs you to the event, and you'll get a reminder on your, your computer or your phone, like a little alert letting you know when the stream goes live. I encourage you, if you enjoy the streams, to click interested on all the stream events. We have the Dam Challenge streams, the Dam streams, Mapmaker Monday, and the Office Hours stream. So we have 4 different stream events pretty regularly. Every week we host an Office Hours and Mapmaker Monday. Every other week we have a Dam stream or a Dam Challenge stream. The Dam Challenge is a map making contest we host as an ongoing map making contest event. The current theme is landing page. If you're interested in participating in that, you just simply make a landing page style map of any shape or size, share it in the Damn Challenge Discord with following the rules pinned at the top of the channel. And if your map is the winner, you could win a $10 Hero Forge gift card, and your map is the first map featured on our streams when we do the Damn Challenge stream. Essentially, that stream, we showcase all the entries, but the first map gets the most airtime, gets the most face time, roughly 20-30 minutes. And so people get to see your work, you know, adore it, admire it, and bask in its glory. And plus you get that $10 Hero Forge gift card. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Thank you for being here and for being a part of this community initiative. We'll be back on Wednesday with office hours. Until next time, we'll see you next time I give a damn. Mac out. Bye. See you later, everyone. In fact, let's run a quick ad break and then we're going to wrap up the stream. Sound good?
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak-Ta, and before...
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him!
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever, find family, kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the fabled realm of
Goyak-Ta, please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered mapmaker, on Steam today.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for enduring that lovely commercial. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Again, my name is Mac. I am the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. You can find us several times a week, every Monday here on Twitch. We do Mapmaker Monday. Every other Saturday, we do the Damn stream, and every opposite Saturday is the Damn Challenge stream. Both are showcases of maps from our communities. One's a contest, the other is just showcasing amazing maps shared in the interim. If you want to check those out, make sure you hit that follow button or subscribe button, depending on your platform, so you can find us in the future. But until next time, my name is Mac. We'll see you next time I give a damn. Mac out. Bye. Bye. See you later, everyone.